So welcome to my YouTube channel. That's what we call The Good Life. Today I'm going to be talking about all the jobs you can be doing in the month of March. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips from my home garden, my allotment, and from time to time my home kitchen. Now we're going to start off in my home garden with the jobs I'm doing here, and then we're going to head up the allotment to see what we can be doing up there as well. So first of all, I've got quite a lot to be potted on. I've started off some sweet peppers, some Hungarian hot wax, some aubergines, and also some tomatoes. I've got Roma and honeycomb there, and they've all now got their true leaves on them, and especially the tomatoes and the Romano peppers, they're really looking like they need to be potted on. So that's one of the jobs I'm going to be doing. Now it's a really easy job to do. I've got some pots here. I've got a mix of core and multi-purpose, which is pretty much what I use for potting on and for starting off seedlings. I find it really effective. So let's get a few of those started now. I've got to say, I've been sent these gloves to try out by Slarmor. They are really, really lovely. They come in lots of different designs. If you're interested, we'll put a link up on the screen and one in the description. At the moment, yeah, I'm quite enjoying them, but yeah, quite pretty. I've got some lovely hummingbirds on them there, so I'm really chuffed with those. So let's get on to potting on some plants. So I've got my tomatoes over here. First of all, I put a little bit of compost in the bottom of the pot, something for the root to stand on, and then I have to remove one of the tomatoes. Now I've got this little tiny mini trowel thing. If you haven't got one of these, something like a butter knife would work just as well. When you lift them out, you do lift them out using the seed leaves, not the true leaves. So those are the first leaves that that are produced when the seeds sprout. Now what I do is I push the little trowel right down in the bottom so I get as much root as possible. I personally try and touch the plant as little as possible, and I find it works really well for me. So I pop it in there, and that's why having a little butter knife or something like this to gently push it into the middle is really, really handy. So I pop the compost around the side like so, and the minute you put a little bit of compost in there, you find that your little delicate seedling has got something to lean against, which makes it a lot easier to use. Because even though you can touch the little seed leaves, if I'm honest, I try and touch as little as possible when I'm potting them up. That's not to say I do a perfect job every single time. I then push the compost down very gently with my 2 fingers just around it. So there we go, that's one potted on. I will do 3 just so you get a bit of an idea. One really important thing to do is to mark them. So this is one of the things that I think us gardeners often forget to do. The amount of times I see comments that people don't know what they've potted on, and I myself have done a very similar thing. I might know they're a tomato, but I might not know what type they are. So there we go, that's that one potted on. So let's do a pepper. So again, put some compost in the bottom like so. You put a little bit more compost in these because these are a little bit bigger, sorry, a little bit smaller than the tomatoes, because the tomatoes I bury the stalk down quite a bit, you probably saw, to stop it from being so leggy. So again, you touch the seed leaf, you then very gently pop some compost in. Now it's perfectly okay to take the compost up to the level of the seed leaves, and there's no problem with that whatsoever, and it gives it more support as well. Because we don't often, when you start seedlings off, even though I've got grow lamps and they're not that leggy, they will still be a little bit leggy when you start stuff off. It happens to everybody, I suppose, unless you're a commercial grower, and maybe it doesn't happen to them, but it certainly does happen to me. So that's the sweet pepper potted on, and again I must make sure I label it like so. So sweet pepper and Romano, and then I'm now going to do an aubergine. Now these are these are probably the most delicate ones to do. So again, more compost there. So when I've potted these on, obviously I'm doing this in my greenhouse. My greenhouse is not heated, but because it's during the day and we've got quite a lot of sun, it's lovely and warm out here and a great place for me to do it. But I will not be leaving these out here because they are far, far too delicate. And I have a thermometer out here so I know how cold it's getting at night. So I will be taking these back indoors and putting them under my grow light, which is something that I've recently purchased, and I think is well worth it. They're definitely flourishing a lot more than they normally flourish this time of year, because I've got the grow light. Now if you'd like to purchase a grow light, I will put a link up on the screen and one in the description if you want to get the one I've got. We didn't look that much, but we did look quite a bit, and you can pay an awful lot for some, and some are quite complicated. These ones just clip onto my worktop. They're ridiculously easy to use. I like easy, and they were less than 20 quid, and they seem to be doing what I need them to do. So definitely worth it, and I'm probably going to buy another set because I'm going to be starting some more stuff off as well soon. So I'll make sure that I label that one up too. And the other really important thing to do is to water them. So I will pop the rest of these on another time. I've got a little watering can here which waters them really easily, like so. When you first pop them on, sometimes they will wilt a little bit over. Can you see that one there has wilted over a little bit? That's just shock, plant shock. Don't panic, they often wilt over. Within a day or two, provided you put them back, you know, in a warm place, they will pick straight back up. So like literally don't, in fact tomatoes are one of the more susceptible ones to dropping over the minute that you've planted them on. But don't panic, pretty much most of them will pick back up and they will be perfectly fine. Now let's move on to some of the other jobs I'm going to be doing. So something I'm going to be doing is I've got some peas here that I've started to sprout, and I'm going to pop them in my greenhouse. Now peas can go outside if you cover them with some fleece, but normally my first lot of peas I normally start off in my greenhouse, which isn't heated, so it does still get very cold in here. Now as you can see, these have started to sprout. I soaked them overnight in some water, I drained them, and then I put them between some wet tissue and just left them a few days, and they've sprouted really well. So what I do is I've got a little bit of ash from my garden mixed in, because this is really good for things like fruit and peas fruit, and I'm just going to pop them in here. Now I did this last year with my peas. I don't really worry too much what way round I put them in. I just gently pop them in the ground, so I don't stress too much of how close together they are. I'll do a couple of rows and I will just gently drop them in, and then I'll just cover them with a bit of compost. So these are just mange twos, so obviously they don't need to grow into full peas, and obviously you can start harvesting some of the leaves as well if you want to. You know, everyone thinks you've got to wait for the peas to come, but mange twos, we all buy them in the shops, don't we, sometimes, and pay lots of money for them. So you can do a mixture of some saving them for the actual mange twos that are going to come out, and some of them you can just eat straight away. So I'm going to do 2 little rows here. At some point I'll put some supports in to help grow them, but I'm not too bothered about that at the moment. I'm just going to get a few in the ground and get them growing. My biggest predator here will probably be the slugs that might have a go at them, but we'll see. Peas in the ground, I'm just going to gently cover them with some compost, like so. So if I'm honest, I might have planted slightly too many, but there's some for me and some for the slugs, so hopefully at least I'll get some. Really simple, and then all I need to do is just water these. I get a lot of people asking me about good allotment books. The one I recommend is Allotment Month by Month, and we will put a link up on the screen. It's this one here, by Alan Buckingham, so I will put a link up on the screen and also one in the description. It's a really go-to book, really easy to understand, literally as it says, everything month by month, so you know what you can be doing, how you should be doing it, which is really useful. I love the book and really enjoy looking at it. Even though I'm a seasoned gardener, you can never have enough books. So give those peas a really good soaking. So another job you can be doing is planting your onion sets. Now I've popped mine into module trays first, and then I'll be sowing them out into the garden in the next few weeks, but you can just sow your onion sets straight into your garden now. So another job you can be doing, if you've got strawberries on your plot, you can start fleecing them up to try and get an early crop. I haven't done it yet, but I will be doing mine soon. And if you've not got any strawberries, you can be planting strawberries out now if you want to. I love my own strawberries, are absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't be without them, so I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting as good a crop, if not better, this year than I did last. I've got a few things I'm harvesting here at home. I haven't got that many at home, if I'm honest, but I have still got some chard here. So even though the birds have started really attacking some of my chard, I've still got plenty here to keep me going. And I've got a nice selection of herbs there. I've got thyme, I've got chives. My parsley is looking a little bit tired, but there is still a little bit there. And I even have a few spring onions, which they're not the biggest spring onions in a while, but I am still picking them and using them, and I'm not having to buy them, so it's got to be good, hasn't it? Well, let's head up the allotment and see what I've got going on up there. So we're now up at the allotment, and the sun is absolutely shining and the birds are singing. It's absolutely fantastic, but please don't get caught out with the cold weather. Although it can be absolutely glorious during the day, we are experiencing some really cold nights, so don't go putting anything out that could obviously perish in this cold weather. It will warm up soon, we just need to be patient. Now, I've been forcing some of my rhubarb, so I've not been up here for a few weeks because, as I said, it's been quite cold. In fact, it's been very cold. So the last time I was probably up here was the last time I did a video, because it's been so jolly cold, so even I'm interested to see how everything's faring. But before I left, one of the things I did was I covered my rhubarb to try and force some on to get an early crop. I looked at my video last year and we are a little bit behind. Even my rhubarb that wasn't covered last year was further on than it is this year, so it definitely has been a little bit chillier, or something stopping it from growing as ferociously as it normally would do. Because in Kent we quite often do get our rhubarb quite early. So this has been on here for just over a month, and although it is growing longer than the others, it has still got some way to go. So I'm gonna, although I could pick a few of these longer stems here, I'm going to pop this back on and force it a little bit more. But this time last year I picked quite a big bunch and took it home with me, so it just goes to show that although that is helping and it is definitely pushing it on, it's not pushing it on as quickly as it has done some years. So I'm going to cover that back up. Like I've said before, I don't have a proper forcer, I just use half of a barrel. So I will cover that back up and leave that for another couple of weeks to see how it's going on. And if I get particularly hungry, I have got a few stems in there that I could maybe mix with a few apples that I've still got from last year. Now, another job you can be doing, if you've not done it already up your allotment, is pruning your fruit trees, which I've already done. So that's a job that I've done. I've done my apple and pear and my cherry and my other apple tree down here. A job that I haven't still done is cutting my raspberries. Now, there's two types of raspberries. There's autumn fruiting, and when you prune autumn fruiting, you cut them right down to the ground. These are summer fruiting, so with summer fruiting you just remove the old canes, and if you've got too many canes you can still thin them out a little bit. Now the way you tell the difference is ones like this, so the really woody strangly ones you take out and you cut them right down to the ground, like so. The ones you leave are these ones, the new, very like darker brown canes that have got the little buds on them. So that's a new cane, that's a new cane. Those are, like I say, if I've got too many of these I will still take a few out. What you're looking for is ones like this. And if you put the two together you can really tell the difference, and sometimes you can even see where the old fruit has fruited on there. I can't see any on these ones, but that's definitely an old one. So again, right down to the ground and remove that, like so. I'm trying to find one with some fruit on it, which I can't, but I think you get the idea. The nice, brightly coloured, healthy looking new canes are the ones that we leave, and the more straggly ones like that, you cut right down to the ground and you take the whole thing out. So that's a job that's probably going to take me the rest of the afternoon, so I shall come back to that later. So I've also got some other soft fruits that I need to prune, and you prune those in a slightly different way. So I've got my gooseberries here and also my black currants over there. Now with these, you're basically trying to take probably about a quarter to a third out of these. And again, the older looking wood. Now gooseberries are quite hard to tell the difference because they all look a little bit straggly, but you'd want to try and pick out the ones that look a little bit more old and a little bit more tired, and in particular ones that might be damaged or crossing over with each other. So like you've got two there that are directly crossing each other, so you would choose to take one of those out. And it's a very similar thing to the gooseberries as well. You're taking out the older looking canes, the damaged ones, and again the ones that are crossing over to create a better airflow around the plant. There's also more I can be harvesting up here. I've got carrots up here, I've got parsnips, I've got some beetroot, I've got a little bit of cow and some chard as well. So those are things I can be some harvesting. You may have some leeks left that you can still be harvesting, but I've had those all already. And you may have some other brassicas that you can be harvesting as well. But I have, apart from my kale, everything else is spent now. So something that you do need to be taking care of is keeping an eye out on pests, whether it's slugs, aphids. You even get the odd caterpillar this time of year, so it's worth making sure that you keep check of that and you take the appropriate steps to remove them. Also the birds as well. If you've got any brassicas and you've not got them covered, it's well worth keeping them covered because the birds will have a heyday on them. We quite often use the green scaffolding net there, and we've got a great big roll of it, and we use it for various jobs. It's on my little polytunnel there, and I've also got some further down there. We will put a link up on the screen and one in the description. Maybe not so much now, but over the coming months when you start putting more and more stuff out, I cover it because I do get a lot of bird damage up here, unfortunately. When I put my seedlings out, when I put my brassicas out, I do lose an awful lot, so it's something worth considering for the future. So as we move down, obviously keeping check of weeding, keeping everything nicely weeded is worth thinking about, because weeds, as soon as it starts to warm up, the weeds can really take hold. Digging, mulching and manuring is something else you need to be considering. I've dug quite a bit and I've mulched quite a bit, but there's still more for me to do. And what I do is I put a bit of ground cover down so that when it does start to warm up, the weeds don't grow back really quickly. I use the same pieces of ground cover year in, year out. I lift it up in the spring when I start planting. I put it back down in the winter to stop the weeds from growing. This is the kind of ground cover I use. If you'd like to get some of that, there will be a link up on the screen and there will be one in the description if you'd like to get some of that too. I hope you've enjoyed my video and the jobs I've given you are some that you'll find really useful. If you're wondering what you can sow and plant this time of year, I have a video out for that. There will be a link up on the screen and there will be one in the description.